Consider a particle travelling along a circular path. Well, the velocity is always tangent to the path and is equal to the speed multiplied by the direction vector. We have the tangential unit vector at time t and the tangential unit vector at time t plus delta t. Now if we differentiate this, we obtain the acceleration. And for the special case of uniform circular motion, the speed, or the magnitude of the velocity vector, is constant. So this direction is theta at time t, and this one is theta at time t plus delta t, which we'll put together, and by vector addition, this is d theta. And this angle d theta is equal to the angle between those vectors. So if we're using the arc length formula, we obtain the following relationship, and this vector is in the negative radial direction, where we have the radial direction vectors at time t and time t plus delta t. Now if we divide through by dt, this here is the angular velocity. And that can be obtained using this formula. So r d theta is equal to the arc length ds, and if divided through by dt, this here is the speed, and this here is the angular velocity. So this expression becomes minus omega in a radial direction, and using this relationship where v equals r omega, we can write this as follows. Then substituting for d theta dt into this expression, we obtain an equation for the centripetal or center-seeking acceleration. If a ball is attached to a string and swung around a horizontal circular path, then we have a force of weight due to gravity pointing perpendicular to the circular plane. And we have a tension force in the rope. And because we're looking at uniform circular motion, meaning that the speed or magnitude of velocity is constant, then there's no component of this force in the tangential or theta direction. So one component of this force is going to oppose the force of weight, because there's no motion in the vertical direction. And one component is going to point to the center of the circle to keep that ball travelling along a circular path. So by Newton's second law in a radial direction, we have the tensile force in the radial direction is equal to the mass of the ball by the centripetal acceleration, which we derived earlier, where r is the radius of the circle. And in the vertical direction, we're going to apply Newton's first law, because there's no motion, and the force of weight is mass by gravitational acceleration. And then putting the force of weight on the other side of the equation, and you can obtain the magnitude of the tensile force using Pythagoras' theorem. In our previous analysis for uniform circular motion, we derived the following quantities. So the speed was equal to the radius of the circle by the magnitude of the angular velocity. And we had the velocity being equal to the speed in the tangential or theta direction. So at time t, we have a tangential and radial direction, and at time t plus delta t, we had a tangential and radial direction. Now in the case of non-uniform circular motion, the speed, or the magnitude of the velocity, is not constant. So when we differentiate this expression, we use the product rule, and we obtain the following equation for the acceleration. And we derived this previously for the case of uniform circular motion. So this was equal to minus omega in the radial direction. And if we're using this expression, we can write this expression as follows. So therefore, if this is the velocity at time t, and this here is our velocity at time t plus delta t, so therefore by vector addition, this here is equal to the change in velocity. And note that the acceleration, being the first derivative of velocity with respect to time, acts in the same direction as this vector dB. And therefore the acceleration has a component that points towards the center of the circle, which is this component, and it also has this component which points in a tangential direction. So therefore the tangential component changes the speed, and the normal component changes the direction of the particle. Consider a ball attached to a string and swung around the circular path, which is vertical in this case. So in this case the force of weight acts in the plane of this circle. And at the top of the circle, the tension force in the string also acts downwards. So using Newton's second law, so in this case the net force is equal to the mass by the centripetal acceleration. And a critical speed is obtained when the tension in a string is 0. Now at the bottom of the circle, we have the following free body diagram. And again, there's no acceleration in a tangential direction because the forces are radial. So we're going to have the net force is equal to the mass by the centripetal acceleration. And when we look at kinetic and potential energy, you'll see why the maximum speed occurs at the bottom of the circle. And at this position of the ball, we have the following free body diagram. So if you resolve the force of weight into radial and tangential components, you can see that the tangential component changes the speed of the ball, whereas the normal component changes the direction of the ball to keep it in a circular path. So in this case, the force of weight contributes to both components. And have a go at writing Newton's second law for this case. A 3 kilo ball is attached to a string and swung around in a horizontal circular path with a radius of 1.5 meters. And we're asked to calculate the force in the string if the ball is traveling at a velocity of 10 meters per second. So in horizontal circular motion, we have the following forces acting on the ball. And the vertical component of the tensile force opposes the force of weight, and the radial component keeps the ball traveling along a circular path. And applying Newton's second law in a radial direction, and Newton's first law in the vertical direction, and solving for the vertical component of the tensile force. And now you can substitute the known values to obtain these components, and therefore the magnitude of the tensile force is obtained using Pythagoras' theorem. And post your answer in the comments. A ball is tied to a string and swung along a vertical circular path, and we're asked to find a critical speed to prevent the ball from falling inside the circle. Well, the critical point in a circle is at the top, because that's where the force of weight is pointing in the same direction as the tensile force in the string. And applying Newton's second law, we have the force of weight plus the tensile force is equal to the mass of the ball by the centripetal acceleration. And when the tension in a string is 0, we have the force of weight, which is the mass by the gravitational acceleration, is equal to mv squared on r. And the masses cancel, So we get V is equal to root GR. And calculating this out, we obtain 4.4 meters per second. A car is travelling around a bend with a radius of 20 meters at a constant speed, and calculate the maximum velocity to complete the turn without skidding. So in this case, the static friction force provides a centripetal force to prevent the car from skidding sideways. And the other forces acting on the car are the normal force and the force of weight. So this car is undergoing horizontal circular motion. Now applying Newton's second law in the radial direction, and Newton's first law in the vertical direction, and recalling the relationship between static friction and the normal force. So you can solve this equation for the normal force, where the force of weight is the mass of the car by the gravitational acceleration. And substitute the normal force into this expression for the static friction, and substitute the static friction into this equation. And you'll be able to solve for the maximum velocity for the car to complete the turn without skidding. A car is travelling at a speed of 10 meters per second around a bend, and the road is banked at an angle of 30 degrees. And we're asked to write the normal force in terms of these variables. Well, taking a free body of the car and drawing all the forces acting on it, and I've drawn them through the centre of mass of the car for easier visualization. But we know that the contact forces act at the tyres. So if we resolve the forces into horizontal and vertical components, and recognizing that these angles are equal to the banking angle of the road, and applying Newton's second law in a radial direction, and in the vertical direction, and now if we multiply the first equation by sine theta, and the second equation by cosine theta, and add the equations together, well, we eliminate the friction force. And to obtain a friction coefficient, we can use the relationship between the static friction force and the normal force. So having obtained the normal force from this equation, you can substitute into either one of these equations to obtain a static friction force, and then solve for the coefficient of static friction where the car does not skid. Explain the advantage of banking the road surface of a racetrack using Newton's second law and the mechanics of uniform circular motion. So treating this car as a particle, which is travelling on a banked surface, well, the normal force acts normal to the surface, and the force of weight acts downwards, and the static friction force acts along the road surface. So if we resolve the normal force into vertical and horizontal components, and if we did the same with the friction force, which will look something like this, and if we recognize that these angles are equal to that of the banked surface, then what we get using Newton's second law is the static friction force cosine theta plus the component of the normal force in the horizontal direction, so that will be Fn sine theta, is equal to the mass of the car by the speed squared on the radius of the track. So as we can see, as theta goes to 0, which resembles a flat surface, then only the friction force is going to contribute to the centripetal acceleration. But in the general case where we have a banked road, then we can see that the normal force and the static friction force contribute to the centripetal acceleration. So consequently, the car can travel faster on a banked road.